Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everybody, and welcome back to the Harry Potter discussions. We are going to be discussing year 2 of Harry Potter, which is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, before I do, I am going to introduce my panelists. One panelist will be in the background until he is able to come back. So with that, I'm going to introduce the ladies, the lovely ladies first. First one that we got is Lorena Creel.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Excellent, excellent. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and glad to be here.
Indeed. And give yourself or your channel a little plug before we get going.
Sure, I am Lorena Creole on Twitter and on YouTube, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. I talk about Star Wars, Star Trek, pop culture, all kinds of stuff, and very excited to be talking about Harry Potter. So please do give me a follow on Twitter and please subscribe to me on YouTube.
Alrighty. And with that, our next one is a lovely little channel. She discusses things like Stranger Things and other little things too. She's a great YouTuber. She jumps in on other streams, which she's a great guest. Give it up for AFK Bard.
Yay, thank you. Thank you. I am happy to always be a guest in somebody's stream. So thank you for having me. And also, of course, talking Harry Potter. So woohoo!
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And our third lady, and even though she's the last lady, but definitely not the least, she's a great little channel. She's got, or actually she's a bigger channel than mine, so she's not a little channel. She discusses real world topics and stuff, and believe me, she's a firebrand if you get on her bad side. So give it up for Moira Kitty, folks.
Rawr.
Woohoo!
Meow.
Hey.
Alrighty, so
Be prepared with
we are
my.
going. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I came prepared with my toy wand and my nicotine wand.
Cute. But yeah, so we are going to be waiting for Ambassador, and before we do, let's say hi to the chat. We got Austinator in the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Hey.
And we also got GFan84. I
Hello.
love that profile pic for you, Austinator. That just
That
looks
is-
real cool.
That does look cool.
I think it is the Iron Spider. And we got GFan84. And we got
Hello.
Giovanna Banana.
Hey, Giovanna.
Giovanna!
So good to see you.
I went by her screen to say hi earlier. YouTube notifications finally worked.
Yeah. She is a great channel too, folks. So if we do get a mod, I'm gonna have.
Really does.
She is. She's an up and comer, and she's gonna be going places. Trust me. She discusses real world topics and entertainment topics, and she does a very good job at keeping it balanced. Nay, while we wait for Ambassador, we are going to get started on the discussion of Harry Potter Year 2, the movie. We're going to be discussing both extended and the theatrical editions. One of the things that I noticed about this film, besides it being objectively better than the first film, it has the effects are better. It's really an improvement because the first one had a good budget. The second one, because the first one was a success, got a better budget and therefore was able to do more. And I gotta say, they picked and choose the right areas when it came to the special effects. And hold on one second. We got a bunch of Harleys outside. Ah, shaking windows. But anyway, um, one of the better special effects that I noticed in this movie was the basilisk, but we will tackle that later on when we get to that point. One of the worst special effects that they did was the flying car. Now, what is your thoughts, folks, on the flying car?
Well, let's see. We'll just say as a plot device in the feature, I thought it was pretty fun to see. Kind of that play on when are we going to see flying cars in the future. So I liked it from that standpoint. Just something quirky to see. Special effects quality didn't blow me away, but it wasn't bad either.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Moira.
it felt a little too cartoony to me. But not in the sense like it was CGI, but like in the sense that I imagine it would have been more like literal of just like a car with its doors opening and closing and this and that. But it just felt a little too lifelike, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that I'm criticizing magic here. I'm sorry.
Moira.
I think it was cute and cheesy. Like if a little kid is watching it, like it wouldn't necessarily freak them out or something.
Mhm.
Like it was done enough that it was cute and cheesy. We could appreciate the cheese. Like we know they didn't take themselves too seriously, and that's okay. And like even little kids wouldn't like be freaked out by it. They'd be like, "Ooh," it looked more fun and less sciencey, like scientific or whatever. More magical and weird. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain. So they're both kind of like. That's why I'm like, I have no idea what to say. I don't know how to follow that. But
Now, another thing that this movie did was introduce or world building to a smaller degree. The first movie, we can all agree that it did a lot of world building. It explained magic. It was introducing a multitude of characters that you can invest in, that you can like and whatnot. This movie didn't do that as much, but it did. I think it was introduce 5 characters: Dobby, Gilderoy Lockhart, Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, Lucius Malfoy, and who was the other one? Who was that other one? God dang it, I'm blanking.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Aragog. The spider, Aragog.
Oh.
Well, it is kind of good that they only introduce a certain amount of characters each time. That way you have time to a certain amount, so it's not overwhelming. You're like, oh, this is where Malfoy gets his attitude. Oh, this makes fucking sense. And then like you meet a few others, and you're like, oh, so it kind of helps bring it together without being too much to try to keep up with. So that's always good because you want something that everybody can get into, and nobody has to feel dumb or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to have a decent pace to it as far as like introducing new characters and stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters that they introduced, who actually was a very heroic character in the entire series, not so much in the movies, but in the books, was Dobby. This character
Dobby?
gets...
Or am I wrong?
Dobby, D-O-B-B, with 2 B's, so it's an ah. And this guy he's a house elf. He gets so much hatred by much of the nerd community. It's like, seriously,
Why?
dude.
Why? I like Dobby. Not as much as I like Lucius Malfoy with the introduction, but Dobby was like my number 2. I really liked him.
I know. But a lot of people basically consider him the Jar Jar Binks of the Harry Potter universe.
Okay, I can kind of.
And I tell them, anybody who says that, and I tell them,
they don't, because Dobby had a purpose. He had a purpose. Unlike Jar Jar Binks, basically just
flying
being
around.
there, and who knows what the heck they were trying to do with him. But Dobby had a reason for being there, and it was integral to, you know, to the plot. And I really did like him because of
How you
that.
doing, Thomas Gilkey? Good to see you.
Yeah,
Hey, Thomas.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like
he also brings up a good point.
Yeah.
This was the last time we saw Richard Harris as Dumbledore,
Yeah.
and it was his. It was indeed one of the best performances he has done.
He did pretty
I
good in
mean-
Camelot.
I haven't seen that.
My mother was born in 1940, so there's an amazing amount of shit I've seen. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like from the 70s when he didn't have white hair. Weird.
You wanted to say something, AFK?
I was just gonna say, I agree that Dobby is really awesome. Sorry, as far as Dobby and Dolby, I always called him Dolby in my head, like the Dolby sound system. So
Almost.
there you
yeah.
go.
I'm glad that saying Dobby, like, yeah, but it could be Dobby, yeah. Like,
Yeah, you know, literally speaking, if you hear it in your head first, it's really hard to change it. Like, and I blame J.K. Rowling for the fact that Hermione, for me, was always Hermione for like the first 4 books, and then she's like, "Oh, you didn't know how to pronounce it," and I was like, "Well, you never said." So, but no. So, anyways, I love Dolby. He's awesome, and I think he gets a lot of crap because he didn't get a lot of screen time versus the book time.
Yeah, indeed.
I
Thomas
can
Gilkey-
see that.
Thomas Gilkey did just drop another great fact here. Aragog was, let's see if it can actually show up on my screen here. There we go. Fun fact. So the character of Aragog was voiced by Julian Glover, who played Walter Donovan in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, General Veers in Empire Strikes Back, and Pycelle in Game of Thrones.
Oh
Really?
my god!
Game of Thrones.
I did not
Dude.
know that about in Game of Thrones. Wow.
That
Right, so, like,
spider
he was
just got
Walter
deep.
Donovan in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he did. And so one of the things, going back to Dobby for a second, he has the greatest introduction in the movie. He's just jumping out of bed, and then he's like, Harry Potter, what an honor it is. And then he gets talking, and he's like, or Harry's like, you must not have met some decent wizards then. And he's like, no, I haven't.
I love how
And
he
then
said
just starts
that.
punishing himself. Yeah. It's
Uh-huh.
like, what a horrible thing to say. And he just starts bashing his head
Yeah.
against the.
Just his
Oh.
reaction just showed you just how, I guess, just how badly he had been mistreated, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah, he did have beat down kind of like he'd been beat down this whole time.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he did really well with Harry Potter, like because Harry spent most of his life being mistreated and emotionally beat down too.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Exactly.
And while he means well, and this goes throughout the whole freaking movie, while he always meant well, he did things in the worst way to try to help Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Away from school. Like, he's trying to get him freaking expelled from school, so he does a levitation, something that they tie into the book, or explain more into the book, because a letter arrives at the house. I'm hearing myself. Anyway, a letter arrives at the house saying that he did an illegal levitation spell, and I think they only let him off with a warning, if I remember correctly, in the book, but they don't really touch on it in the movie because, well, the Dursleys pretty much punish him very much in the movie. I mean, they just bar his windows. They basically caged the kid in, locking him in. You're never going back to that school. You're never going to see your freaky friends ever again. Never! And it's like, I'm expecting just this mad cackle after he says never. And I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Oh, damn, wasted opportunity. But yeah, the Dursleys were. You gotta love the Dursleys. You
They
just
were
ruined the punchline of my Japanese golfer joke. It's like, I don't think you could get away with that if he told that joke now.
I gotta say that I noticed something, or at least it's to me, and I don't know if it's the same to other people, but as the movie, like as the books progress and the movies progress, like at the beginning, the Dursleys were scary as F to me. Of course, like I started reading it like when I was a lot younger, but like as like Harry grows up and the books progress, like the Dursleys were less and less like a threat to the point where it's like so like in this it's kind of weird looking back at the earlier ones and being like, wow, I felt like so intimidated by them because like in the book it's like from Harry's point of view and he's just stuck in this super awkward position where he's trying so hard to make them happy and then Dobby's there and he's just effing it all up and you just want to backhand that elf and be like, dude, what are you doing? And he's just making it worse and every time Harry thinks he's almost got it in the bag, Dobby makes it worse. I'm just like, that poor kid. Like at that point in time, I was like, I know. And it's just like, he's like, you don't want to go back to school. I'm like, but you don't understand how horrible his family is, man.
It's one thing about the Dursleys that I noticed. I mean, for the first movie, I just got like Charles Dickens vibes when I saw them. And you know how Harry's like, he's under the stairs. It just very Dickens for some reason. I just really got that.
Yes, totally. I totally get that visual, like over the top kind of like imagery of just like the place that he is. Yeah, I love that.
I also noticed, or in the first movie, Petunia has just a little plump to her. Not a lot, just a little. The second movie, she's still the same. But as the movies then progress, she gets thinner, and her husband just fucking blows up. He got bigger. And,
wow. I think you mean his sister did.
She sure as heck did. That was freaking funny.
We'll get to that one in 2 weeks when we do year 3. But so he's then locked up in his room, caged in and all that. And Hedwig is probably just going nuts by this point because she hasn't ever been let out. And that's basically what it's been established. She's bored. She hasn't, or she could just go out for like an hour or two. I mean, owls do need the stretch. They have joints. They have all that stuff, and they do need to stretch. And if you keep an owl caged, it could literally harm them physically.
Cause them atrophy.
Yeah, they could atrophy. So then, looking out in the great beyond, wishing for freedom, we see these two headlights just start heading towards the house. And then we see the car, Fred and George and Ron. And it's like, Fred, George, Ron, what are you doing here? Rescuing you, of course. Like, they're just like, did they really? Or you could just see the looks, and it's actually covered in the books. They're like, why did they cage him in? But they cover it back at the what do they call it? The hovel or the
burrow?
The burrow. That's right.
I just love the Weasley's house. I do.
Yes, the Weasley's house. It's elevated by magic and it's added on by magic. I mean, I would love a house that does that.
And it looks just like they describe it. Like in the books, honestly, when you see it, it just is so ridiculous. Really, and like when you're looking on the inside, it just feels like someone was like, and then I'll add this level, and then I'll add this level, and it's just like it's crazy. I love it.
I swear it got bigger every movie.
Yes,
to me, it just house got bigger.
It does seem like it does, and so they rip off the bars, and you hear or you see the Dursleys wake up, like, and I swear, if you listen really close, it's like, what the hell is going on? Friggin' Dursley's like, what the hell? He's escaping! Let go. Oh, no, boy. You and that bloody pigeon ain't going. No. And then they pull him out the window, and you see Petunia and Dursley just freak out. They're like, no! It's just great. And so they get to the burrow, and you see the family clock, the one that switches mortal danger, lost, home, and all sorts of things. That clock plays such a great role in the movies or in the books, and it's so underused in the movies.
Can I just say that would be the best Bluetooth item a household could ever have if someone makes it. Just set it up in the house to activate for everybody's phone or something device when they come in, and it could track them places. Tell me you don't want that for your family. That'd be sweet. I'm just saying. Sorry, keep going.
And then the introduction to Mrs. Dursley in the second movie. Where have you been?
Yes.
Harry. And then while she's just pissed off at her boys, Harry. And it's like,
I know, it completely changes.
She just
That's something my mother would do. Seriously. Yelling at us, and then someone, calls, and her phone voice completely changes.
Exactly. And it's like,
I'm definitely
so good to see you here. Then she snaps right back at him. And it's like, no, Targon.
I think it might be a Southern thing. I don't know.
Or it could be a British thing.
Yo, get your ass here. How can I help you?
You were so right about that, more. Oh my God, because all my family's from the South, and it's the way it can switch. It's just it's freaking uncanny.
Genetics. My grandma was born in Arkansas, and
I think it is.
So.
But yeah, oh my gosh. Then it's like, all right, there's like, they're starving him, Mom. Put bars on his windows. Well, you're lucky I don't put bars on your window, Ronald Weasley.
I know. She's like, oh, lucky I don't put bars on your window, Ronald Weasley.
It's like Fred and George just look at him like, oh, damn, dude, she's really going hard up there.
Yeah. Better you than us.
Yeah, exactly. And then they switch to the breakfast scene, and the perfect setup because it sets it up for the rest of the series, where Ginny sees Harry for the first time in the second movie. Ambassador, I believe, is ready to join.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Nice.
Alrighty, so let's get him in here. I have a Kindle, folks, so sometimes it takes a little time for me to get stuff. So let's get him in here. All right, he's in. How you doing, Ambassador?
Howdy. So, how much have I missed?
We're just getting to the Weasleys. We're getting to the Weasleys and the introduction of Ginny Weasley, where she sees Harry and she just bolts. And it's like the perfect introduction. It's like, hello. And she's like, just runs. And I'm like, I looked at my aunt and I'm like, she's crushing on him.
Oh, yeah. Of course, I like the line before
her fortune
then.
cookie that morning.
Yeah. What was the line?
No, I like the line before then when she comes down and she asks her mom, have you seen my jumper? And she says, yes, I believe I saw it on the cat. First, I had to remember what jumper meant in British slang, and I'm like, oh my God, the cat's wearing a freaking sweater. I just thought that was funny.
It's like, and I'm like, because when I heard it, I'm like, Aunt Jen, what is a jumper? She's like, British slang, it's a freaking sweater. I'm like, why is a cat wearing a sweater? It's like, okay, whatever, just go with it. It's magic.
Just like, I guess it's one of the lovely quirky things about the Weasley's little house.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to Mr. Weasley. He was the sixth person to come into it. Mr. Weasley, George Weasley.
Oh.
And he is so fascinated with Muggles. It is just so freaking adorable.
What is the purpose of a rubber duck?
Yes.
It was serious too about that.
All Muggles. Tell me, what is the purpose of a rubber duck? And it's like, okay. Okay, Rubber Duck is basically to entertain kids. But it's just, oh my gosh, man. Oh, that would be Errol with the post, or the freaking owl that crashes into everything and just falls short.
Yes. Oh, you always
If I was
know
an
when
owl,
it's
that would
Ron's
be-
owl. It's just bam.
Menace. Oh, so they go to Diagon Alley. They introduce Flu Powder, which is a good world build there.
Yeah.
And diagonally, and when he said that
What did
diagonally,
he say?
when Harry's going to Diagon Alley,
Mm-hmm.
and he accidentally says diagonally, and she's like, "What did he say to you? Diagonally?" And she's like, "I thought he did." And he just shows up in freaking Nocturne Alley.
And the
But-
thing about that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Orange Hat.
If you do look at the words, I think that's exactly where you were going. If you look at Diagon Alley
Mm-hmm.
and diagonally, it's just the word diagonally split in two.
That is clever
If
as hell.
Truly look at it.
Yeah.
It's like, did she do it on purpose?
I just thought it was, I knew they were setting it up for him to be in the wrong place, because when Mrs. Weasley says, "Now, Harry, you have to speak very clearly." As soon as she said that, we're like, okay, who's going to screw up and say it wrong?
Yeah.
So it was,
I mean-
I'm just like, okay, I'm not surprised, but it was funny.
It was pure nerves that got him there, man.
Yeah.
And there's a deleted scene where he ends up at Nocturne Alley in Borgin and Burke's.
Yes, I
and-
saw that in extended version.
Yep, they actually put it in the extended version where Malfoy's selling poisons because the raids and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The Ministry is conducting raids, which George knows about because he works for the Ministry. And that would be your first introduction to Lucius Malfoy, because he's like, don't touch anything, and then Draco goes to touch something. What did I say? Sorry about that. It's like, wow. So then in the movie, the theatrical, they are at a different, I can't remember where they were.
Flourish
But
and
Gilderoy
Blot,
Lockhart,
right?
Yeah, Flourish and Blotts, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
Spellbooks.
The book, yeah,
And-
and that's where we go ahead.
Yeah, we see Kenneth Branagh, brilliant actor, playing the dumbest character in all of Harry Potter.
Which is so weird for
And-
performances.
I know, man, and he's basically like the Clint Eastwood of the '70s for most women. I mean, or he's basically like he's just like the
Oh
Hollywood.
no, he's Fabio. He's Fabio.
Yeah,
Yes.
Basically, Fabio the Wizarding World.
Very much a pretty boy is what
Oh,
he
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
He is the
Go ahead.
was
he is the
cute, like,
personification of all style and no substance.
Yes.
He's right.
Absolutely.
He is Ryan Johnson's role model.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
Gilderoy Lockhart would be insulted by that comparison.
That's if Gilderoy Lockhart can even remember who he is.
Yeah, because he can't now. But
Well, you know what? That's giving Gilderoy Lockhart a big disservice. Because think about it, this guy is super clever. If you think about what he is
True.
doing,
Yeah.
and he probably would have done Star Wars way better. But he would have probably stole the idea from a whole bunch of people. But it would have been great. I'm
Well,
just saying.
Not to mention,
Lockhart cut.
I talked about this just a couple of weeks ago on a stream with AVP, Alicia Victoria Parker. We were talking about Hamlet and the fact that Kenneth Branagh is like the nerd god of Shakespeare from the 90s. And then he does this, and he's still awesome, and we love him. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one with
And
St.
it's
Crispin's Day, isn't it?
Huh?
Where they just talk about St. Crispin's Day.
No, you're thinking of Henry V.
Oh.
Oh.
My bad, sorry.
He was also in Midsummer's Night. No, I know. Sorry. What is it? Enough. Yes, Much Ado About Nothing. That's it.
I
Love that
okay.
movie.
get it. Cute.
Love that movie. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
That guy. What the- Weird.
And then
And Keanu Reeves was in that one. Woof.
And not only that, but Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor movie. And can I just say, I love that movie. I love it to death. I love it. Love it. Love it.
I did
He was
not.
Maria, did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
Holy
I
shit.
did.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor movie, and it was epic and beautiful and awesome. I wish he had done the second, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Now back to the plots.
Yes. Yes.
The
Back to the movie.
photographer comes in, and then he sees Harry Potter. He's like, "Oh my god, Harry Potter!" And the freaking photographer, Harry Potter, just grabs him. and just
Yeah.
Big smile,
Paparazzi
Harry.
moment
Together,
there.
you and I raid the front page. It's like, really? And then he just makes up this bullshit.
Yeah.
And free of charge, it's like, give him to the Weasleys, man. Give him to the Weasleys. And it's like, just, oh my gosh.
That's
So
what
they
I
basically
like
said
being
that,
in order to be like.
yeah. And then you see freaking Draco Malfoy stealing something from Flourish and Blots.
I know.
And then he's like, and then he just goes right after Potter. Bet you love that, didn't you, Potter? Harry Potter can't even go into a bookstore without making the front page.
Well, he
And
said
then Ginny,
bloody bookstore. Gotta add that there.
bloody bookstore without making the front page. And he's like, then you see Ginny Weasley just leave him alone. Oh, look, Potter, you got a girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
great foreshadowing. Great foreshadowing.
Okay. And can I just, if I might interject for just a second,
Mhm.
when Draco calls Hermione a mudblood, I personally, for the first time in my life, wanted to throttle a prepubescent.
Oh, yeah.
I personally wanted to stomp a mud hole in him and then go after his dad. And if I had been a wizard, I would have done Crucio. I would have done Pacificus Totalis on Draco, and then I would have done Avada Kedavra on Lucius.
No.
I would have made him watch as I killed him. I would have made him watch as I killed his father. That's for being a dick.
Yeah.
And that's for your daughter being a bigger dick.
That's a little
I will be
excessive.
right back. So continue discussing, and I swear I will be right back. I want to show you guys this because it actually is fitting for this one.
Okay.
So,
Dang bastard, I do not want to make you mad in traffic. Holy shit.
No.
Yeah, that's I don't blame the at that age. I don't blame the kid for the bad parenting there.
Yeah.
I blame the parent. I would not do that with the
Dad
kid.
was an ass.
They do know the right from wrong, but
Yeah.
No,
They were just privileged
and that's-
asshats.
That's why I wouldn't kill Draco, just the father.
dude, killing a dad in front of a kid, dude, that's
Really?
rough. Like,
Well, let's be candid here. Lucius Malfoy, to use some British terminology, and I hope this doesn't offend any of the ladies, and I'm sorry, I don't usually cuss this much on stream, everybody knows this, but Lucius Malfoy's a twat.
I don't think it's just British.
I'm not going to agree with that.
Yeah,
I'm
Sorry.
not going to agree with that.
Okay.
As much as he is a complete privileged asshat, I actually like his character for being a privileged asshat because it's germane to the plot.
I'm sorry.
He really is. He really is. And honestly, he is representative of the whole British class system, if you ask me, because that's really big over there. So his character pretty much represents that whole thing to me, because there is a fixation with class in the UK. So I like him as a plot vehicle for that.
okay, so I got this down.
That's beautiful.
It's
I like
not
that.
in perfect condition anymore. It's not in perfect condition anymore, but it still, you'll recognize it.
I'm so jealous right now. I love Lucius Malfoy's cane. I freaking love it. It's awesome.
Now, because this thing has seen some beat ups and falls and whatnot. It doesn't have the black stick wand in it, so I improvised and just kind of made a wand.
Hey, that's cool though.
That's
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah, it's a blade sharpener at the end. Basically, is what it is.
Nice. That's
But
good,
yeah,
dude.
this thing was like $195 off of Noble Collection at the time.
Oh, for
Wow.
crying out loud. All right, Thomas Connolly, get your mind out of the gutter if that's
Okay.
at all possible.
Seriously.
Oh, jeez, man. We're doing kids movie here, man.
Not even close.
Yeah,
Yep,
I know.
you know, I thought of one too, but I'm gonna wait till the movie to bring it out because I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
It is the perfect time to bring this in because
I won't lie. I love that cane.
I
do.
do, and
I
I
love-
love it when Lucius uses it to put Draco in one.
yeah.
Yep.
Now Draco, play nicely.
That was smooth.
Yeah.
I hate.
So-
Okay, let me clarify one thing real quick. I detest the character of Lucius Malfoy, but I love the actor who plays him. There. Okay.
Oh yeah, Jason Isaacs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I believe it is.
he's awesome.
Oh yeah, he was super sexy Captain Hook in that Peter Pan movie that they did.
Really?
Yeah, in like 2003 or whatever. Like if you go back,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to go back. I think I
he
saw
played
that.
Wendy's dad and Captain Hook, and I didn't realize he was the same one. But I was wondering why I was so attracted to both of them. But there you go.
Wow.
He's
Right,
awesome
right, right.
actor. He's like he really gets his roles.
So did
Yes.
you guys get to Diagon, or not Diagon, but platform 9 3/4 yet?
No.
All right. Well, we're gonna get there because we're already at half of the. You know what? We already know that Dobby frickin' sabotages it, so we're at 36 minutes. So let's go a little further. They get to let's get into Hogwarts and whatnot.
Okay.
So let's see here. The Quidditch. All right. So yeah, we'll go straight to the Quidditch to what Ambassador brought up about the Mudblood thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Wood and them are about to go into their practice, and you see the Slytherin team walking up, and you can actually see Malfoy in the background in the wide shot, but only for like a second. Now, what did you guys think when you first saw that, or did you read the book and already know what was going to happen?
Excuse me. I was letting Lays go first. Also, I had gas. I'm eating dinner.
Okay, sorry, I had to think about this for a little bit. Go ahead.
Well, Moira?
I am a bit distracted. Have you seen your private chat? Oh.
Yep. Okie dokie, AFK. She's just letting her dog go to the potty.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll actually go first because I hadn't read the second book. I hadn't read the first book when I saw the first two movies. I started reading the books after I saw the third movie, but I'm like, how did I know this was going to happen? Obviously, because he's jealous. He's going to get, first years rarely make the house teams.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, second year it should have been expected that Malfoy was going to be their new seeker on the team for Slytherin. And that's not the only new thing this year. And they get Nimbus 2001. That's just cold. That's just seriously cold. But it does show you that no matter what you get, it doesn't mean you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's exactly right.
And that's exactly what Hermione tells them. At least nobody on the Gryffindor team had to buy their way in.
They got in on pure talent.
And that's when Malfoy drops the Mudblood line. And because, we missed the Whomping Willow. But you know what? Ryan breaks his wand, and the Whomping Willow breaks the car.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're back up to speed. So, because Harry's wand, not Harry's wand, Ron's wand. I am going to have so much trouble saying this tonight. Ron's wand is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he tries doing a spell, it backfires.
Yep.
So he was going to curse freaking Malfoy, and he's like, eat slugs. And you can, if you look closely to Malfoy's expression, he has a pure look of horror on his face. It's like, but it's like, oh my god, so lucky, you little shit. But so they go to Hagrid's, and it's a great introduction to Hagrid. Well, this doesn't call for specialist equipment. Just gotta wait till it stops, I'm afraid.
Yeah. But you know what they could have done with all? You know what they could have done with all those slugs? They could have shoved them into Malfoy's bed.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
There's slugs in my bed, Daddy.
And yeah,
go away.
And you guys were talking about the class system basically over in Britain and whatnot, which Hagrid actually explains to Harry the class system of wizards. It's like there's some, like the Malfoys, who think they're better than everybody because they're what everyone calls pureblood. And he's basically right. Yes, there are pureblood families that think that they should be given higher station because of their blood status. And that was also one of the biggest Voldemort things, even though Voldemort himself was a freaking half-blood. But he was considered, because nobody knew who his parents were, except for his closest followers. So yeah. Hermione, it was a great moment with Hagrid where he pulls Hermione to the side and he's like, don't you think on it, Hermione. Don't think on it for 1 second. And it is just such a great little moment where he gets her to snap out of her sadness because of it. And then comes when things start going to pot, basically. Harry and Ron and Hermione are walking through. They see Mrs. Norris's cat, or Mrs. Norris, Filch's cat.
Yeah.
And this is when things start happening. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemy of the Air, beware. And then you hear frickin' Malfoy chiming in, you'll be next, Mudbloods and whatnot. And you see frickin' Filch. And this is where Argus Filch, it's like, oh, damn, you might think that he might actually do something seriously to Harry until Dumbledore steps up. He's like, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. And it's like, holy shit. He's ready to attack a student. But thankfully, it's a timely arrival by Dumbledore. And he's like, Argus, and then he sees the message, everyone will return to their corridors immediately. Everyone except you three. And it's like, why is it always those three?
I was watching the Half-Blood Prince today. I started watching it, and just with McGonagall saying, why is it when something happens, it's always you through three?
I mean, it's just so great. And the reason why he had those three stay was because he was letting them know, those three are the ones that he knows are the most mischievous. Dumbledore is a legilimens, as many people do not understand. He can read minds by looking through your eyes. So that's also tackled later on in the Fantastic Beasts movies, where there's a natural born legilimens who doesn't have to look through eyes. But anyway, Harry Potter legilimens, it's like you have to be able to have eye contact in order to understand what they're thinking.
Right.
And when Dumbledore looks at you, you either do one of two things. You look away, or or you just can't help but look into those eyes. And it really helps him because that way he can do what he needs to do to read what's going on. And he recommends caution to all.
Really?
So what did you guys
it's on the box.
What did you guys?
I want to take out our order like somebody else's.
That's possible.
Because this is not like that. Usually
There were 2 other orders. It's possible they might have.
I wonder if they're dead.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
I know.
Trouble, Ambassador?
Oh, sorry. You weren't supposed to hear that. Don't.
Well, anyway.
Yeah,
I am sorry.
What, somebody disliked the Harry Potter stream? Who the hell dislikes a Harry Potter stream? Exactly.
I can give you a couple of guesses.
Let them. I don't care. But anyway, if you guys want to dislike it, that's your thing. Now, so then things start going to pot, and because of what's going on, Gilderoy starts a dueling class.
Mm.
And I gotta say, how you doing, Mads? Good to see you.
Mwah.
Hey,
I gotta
Matt.
say that him getting his knocked on his ass by Snape was fun to watch. It's like 1, 2, 3,
It was.
and then he just hits him with the disarming spell.
As much as
That's
I don't
Spelliarmus.
like Snape, but I like Snape, I like seeing Gilderoy get knocked on his butt. It was fun.
Yeah, and then he just has to save face. Excellent job showing him that, Professor Snape. But if I may say, it was pretty obvious what you were going to do. And it's like, oh, shut
Pure
up.
BS.
So, I mean, Snape does not or Snape's just not going to deal with his bullshit. He's like, perhaps it would be best if you taught students to first block unfriendly spells.
Yeah.
Indeed.
An excellent suggestion. And then he calls up freaking. Who does he call up? Harry and Ron. But freaking Snape just has to take a dig at Harry. Ron's wand causes devastation with the simplest spells. He'll be sending water to the hospital wing in a matchbox. Might I suggest someone from my own house? Malfoy, perhaps? It's like, you knew that. You son of a bitch.
Oh, of course. And we wanted to see that too. So.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to see them go up against each other. And Rictus Sempra, which is the one that Harry uses, is supposed to be a tickling spell in the book, but it's not really expressed well in the movie. It's just him getting knocked down and freaking Snape just picking him up and shoving him back in. It's like, get up and stop embarrassing me, you bastard. But yeah, Averte Statum, which was the spell Malfoy uses. I don't know what that one was, or I can't remember what that one was. But then he conjures the snake, and then we start seeing Harry use Parcel Tongue. What was your thoughts on that?
I thought that was so freaking cool. And part of the reason is my family's from Florida. So there are these water snakes that are poisonous. So I thought, wow, he can talk to snakes. And how they introduced that, where we didn't hear him speaking in English like he did at the zoo to the snake there. Yeah. We heard him speaking in a different tongue, and we could not figure out what was going on. It's like we were hearing, the audience, we were hearing what everyone else was hearing. And you look at Snape's face when he sees Harry speaking Parcel Tongue, like, what the heck is he's like horrified when he hears it.
It's because he knows what it means.
And I just thought that was set up so. I love how they did that. Absolutely love how they did that.
Yeah, unknown to many, Snape does have an inkling of what Harry is and has gone through. When it is after Lily dies, which we'll touch in the in the year 7 streams, Snape knows what Harry is, which will also go there. But so when he sees that Harry using Parcel Tongue, he's like, oh crap, it's worse than we thought. And one of the things that he does shortly after that scene, he goes straight to Dumbledore. This is Snape going straight. He's like, he's speaking parcel tongue now. And Dumbledore's like, okay, got you. Yeah. And that's just Dumbledore, for crying out loud. I was like, that's just Dumbledore. He's like, yep, okay. It drives people nuts when he is just so nonchalant about things. It's like, I already knew this was going to happen, so it's not that surprising to me. So, yeah. But, oh my gosh, there's just so many great... We're going over... We might have to go over an hour for this because, yeah.
Yeah, because this is a big movie. This has got a lot in it, so I don't think an hour's going to cut it.
I gotta say, Dumbledore is one of the OG trolls. Like, he trolls everybody.
He does.
He does.
Okay,
And
all right.
when Snape or when Harry, or no, the scene goes and Ron and Hermione are talking. He's like, "You're Parselmouth. Why didn't you tell us? What? You can talk to snakes." Well, of course I can. I mean, I accidentally set a python on Dudley at the do once. I mean, who cares? If it loads of people, no, they can't. And that's when you learn it's not a very common gift. It's actually more associated with dark magic simply because most people, or Salazar Slytherin, was able to do it. And now everybody's starting to think that he might be the heir to Slytherin, even though he's a Gryffindor. But remember, the Sorting Hat in the first movie wanted to send him to Slytherin.
Exactly. And he didn't want to go.
Because he would have done well there. Yeah. It's a very, but he's like, no, it takes your choice into account. And it's like, oh crap. So now you're starting to believe that, well, maybe Harry might be a Slytherin, or should have been in Slytherin. And he actually confronts the Hat later in the movie. He's like, I was just wondering if you put me in the right house. He's like, I stand by what I said last year. You would have done well in Slytherin. And Harry's, yep, he's like, you're wrong. But they don't really, or in the book, Harry actually tries to put the hat back on. And that's when the Hat says, be in your bonnet, Potter. But it's stuck on Dumbledore's office. And then he meets Fawkes the Phoenix. And I wonder if it's truly named after Guy Fawkes from Scottish.
That was my inkling. Because Guy Fawkes Day, that's where they set off the fireworks and everything.
Yeah. He tried blowing up Parliament. So it's like,
remember the 5th of November.
Yeah. Did you name that, or did you name that Phoenix after a terrorist? I mean, because in Britain, Guy Fawkes is considered a terrorist.
He is.
Scotland, in Scotland, he is hailed as a hero, and there is a bar in Scotland that literally says on the wall, "Guy Fawkes, the only person to go into Parliament with honest intentions."
Isn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Hogwarts technically over in that area? Like, it's not actually like it. They take the train for quite a while, aren't they? Like over in Scotland or Ireland area. Because then maybe they don't even care about that stuff.
I don't think that Hogwarts is in a specific place. I honestly do not know where it is. I don't think anybody knows.
You have to go between platforms to get there, so maybe it's between countries.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
That is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can think of. Like,
then you see Fawkes, and then you see Fawkes catch fire and just blow up right in front of Harry, and then you see Dumbledore's like, Harry? He's like, sir, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. He just caught fire.
Sorry.
That dog not like foxes.
I forgot to mute it, and he started playing next to the mic. Sorry.
It's okay. And so Dumbledore's like, oh, and it's about time too. He's been looking dreadful for days. Pity you had to see him on a burning day.
Yeah.
And Harry's like, I'm not in trouble. I didn't do this. And that's when Hagrid, he doesn't, or he introduces what Fawkes is, a phoenix, and then you see the baby phoenix, baby Fawkes coming out. And he tells Harry important things that is a very good foreshadow. They can carry immensely heavy loads. Their tears have healing powers and whatnot. And it's like, something tells me this is going to be important later. And it is. So then you see freaking Hagrid just barge right in with a dead chicken in his hand. It's like, have you been choking your chicken or something?
Oh.
I mean, Hagrid, why do you got a dead chicken in your hand, man? But what they don't explain in the movie, unless you have the extended edition, somebody's been killing the chickens, or the roosters specifically, because only a rooster crow can kill a basilisk, which is interesting, because a real basilisk does not look like a giant snake. It actually is a fire-breathing rooster-looking thing. That's what the mythological basilisk beast looks like. Now, he's like, it wasn't him, Hagrid. I'd be willing to swear on it before the Ministry of Magic. Hagrid, relax. I don't believe that Harry attacked anybody. Well, of course you don't. And then he looks and he's like, he just squints his eyes, just look. Oh, well, okay, then I guess I'll be off. Yeah, right. Okay, good. Off you go. And he asks Harry a very deep question. Is there something you want to tell me? And it's like, no, sir, nothing. The same flippin' words that another student says to Dumbledore 50 years prior. And that boy happens to be known as Tom Riddle. So then things get more serious. Another Muggle-born, Dean Finch, I think his name is, has been petrified. And nearly headless Nick is not dead, but also kind of petrified and looks like he has a smoking cannonball in his neck. While he's hanging there like this, like, and I'm like, why is his neck smoking? I mean, I never pegged him for a smoker, but
well, he is a ghost, so why would it matter?
Yeah, and then you see and this is the first time you see the spiders, I believe. No, wait, the first time was with the other two. I don't like spiders, and I've never seen spiders. Yeah, but you then see Filch. It's like caught in the act, and that's when he sends him to see, or that's when he goes to see Dumbledore. But yeah, slightly out of order there, folks. So then Harry learns about the diary, finds it in the bathroom because it was flooded by Moaning Myrtle. And they're all getting ready to use Polyjuice Potion. And the woman who plays Moaning Myrtle, who plays the character of a 16-year-old, yeah, she's in her 40s.
She was like 40. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. I figured when I heard that, I'm like, what the actual fuck?
She's got to be one of the worst casting choices I have ever seen in anything, ever.
Well, actually, I thought it was very good. But
no, okay, I'm going off the age here. She looks like a 40-year-old woman, and she's creeping on a kid. She's a teenager in the books, so it's kind of forgivable because she was trapped in her innocence. But she is literally a lecherous girl in this.
Yeah,
so
she sure
was.
Oh my!
In the fourth movie, we actually see how much she. Oh my gosh, it's
that was creepy.
That's a long time.
Yikes. Yeah. So then Harry learns about what happened 50 years ago about Tom Riddle and how he implicates Hagrid. And it's truly sad that Harry can't see through manipulation very easily, but when Hermione finally gets petrified herself, she goes to, or that's mine. Anywho.
I just sent a message and it dinged, and I was like,
yeah.
Like, What? Let me turn my volume
I should
down on that.
turn
That's
this
my bad.
down. Ringtone down. Notification
Right.
sounds.
It's the same. Sorry.
That's all right.
Somebody's blowing up over there.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
there's
my
some
lady friend. She's camping.
Okay.
But yeah, so Quidditch is canceled, and everybody has to stay inside and whatnot.
hmm
And so they say there it might be likely that school is closed. You also see the kid with the camera. We never really covered him as much, sadly. Where he's like, "Hi, Harry," click, and it's just like flash blind. Thank you.
Colin
Crap.
Creevy.
Yeah, Colin Creedy, man.
Yeah, old boy
And
throws
he's
on
like,
the
"I'm from Gryffindor too." And oh my gosh, during the Quidditch match, when he's taking pictures of the people and the rogue bludgers going right, it's like, it's like, and just ducks before the freaking bludger takes him out. Like, how did he get down there exactly? But yeah, then you see that he got petrified, and freaking Dobby visits Harry because Gilderoy freaking disappears his bones out of his arm, and it's like he's just flobbed arm. Oh my gosh, there's so much great with this movie. He's like, "Don't worry, Harry, I'll fix that arm of yours straight away." "No, not you." Oh, poor boy, he doesn't know what he's saying. It's like, he's like, "Well, clearly the bones are not broken." Broken? There's no bones left. Much more flexible though. Much more flexible though. But yeah, Skelgro. He has to take the Skelgro, and it's like, "Oh, what'd you expect? Pumpkin juice?" And freaking Malfoy wiped out he's in the freaking hospital wing because he wiped out on his broom, and his father is like, after his son, he's like, "Yeah, whatever." Everybody else is freaking shocked, but Lucius, it just shows you just how devious of a character he really is.
God, yeah.
And then they go to the hospital wing, and it's like, "Oh, Malfoy, stop making such a fuss. You can go." She's Madame Pomfrey, man. She's in the books. She doesn't bullshit. She doesn't bullshit at all. And you truly get that she has been there for years. So Dobby then shows up, and he's like, I thought that Dobby's bludger was enough to make your bludger. You sent that bludger after me? Dobby feels most aggrieved, sir. Dobby had to iron his hands. And it's like, you better clear off, Dobby, before my bones grow back, or I might strangle you. He's like, Dobby's used to violence, sir. Dobby is disciplined like 3 times a day at home, sir, or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh. So that's when you really feel bad for Dobby, because he is truly treated like vermin. And he even says it. And he's like, why do you wear that thing? This, sir, it's a mark of the house elves' enslavement. He's in a pillowcase, for crying out loud. He wears a pillowcase. And they set up that house elves can only be freed if their master presents them with clothes.
Right.
So what are your guys' thoughts on the world building up to that point where you are learning more into the world, like house elves and, well, Skelgro and whatnot?
Honestly, I appreciated all of those little tidbits and everything of the world building, and it made everything feel so much richer. And I'll say this about the nurse or the doctor from Hogwarts, and I say this with love. She reminds me of my grandmother, because my grandmother gave absolutely no, well, to use modern terminology, she gave no F's about what anybody else thought. And that for me is what was the name of the doctor and the nurse? Madame Pomfrey.
Madame Pomfrey.
Pomfrey. Madame Pomfrey. She was an OG. She started this gangster crap.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'll say this: the women.
I'm dying a little bit inside. That's
the
the
whip.
whitest thing I've heard you say. I'm sorry, I'm playing.
Keep going.
Moira, if you knew how crappy of a day I've had,
I'm playing with
no,
you.
I know. I just all right. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna bring us down. I'm not gonna be a downer. The women,
I got
all,
Okay, Debbie Downer.
now.
no, I'm not gonna be Debbie Downer. I'll do it after.
It's been a while since I've seen the second one. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to rewatch it like recently or anything. But correct me. I know in the books, I don't know if it is in the movie, when Harry is hanging out with Ron at the Weasleys, they're doing. Do they show them doing their little like garden gnome hunting at the
They don't
house?
show it in the movie, but they do.
No.
Or
Oh, okay. Because
yeah, that didn't make it in the movie, sadly.
that would be like that's the one thing I wish that had existed because the one thing I noticed in like this book or the movie, I'm sorry, I keep going to this, is that it starts showing like distrust with adult figures or like figures of authority for the children, you know, or not maybe not just the adults, but like things that are taken as just like normality at first. Like Harry in the first movie, for instance, like he sees this wonderful magical world, and that's pretty much all you see in the first one, right? And then in this one, you don't see it in the movie, but he sees how like they hunt these little garden gnomes, and it's really inhumane at the Weasley's house. And then you learn about the goblet, so the house elves, and then how like the wizarding world uses those, and it's like, well, that's not from a perfect magical world, and it starts kind of building up, and then you get like Gilderoy Lockhart thrown in, where he's supposed to be like this perfect educator, but like even that isn't like what he's been told is true, and so it's like, I don't know. I like how you start seeing more from Harry's point of view in this one, I guess, of like things he didn't see at first. That's kind of just makes it less of a black and white world and more of a shades of gray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one little quirky thing I loved was about the Howler. I loved the Howler.
Oh, that was the effect for that was freaking surreal.
And you steal that car.
Yes. And then at the end, when she was done, and after she congratulated Ginny and was so proud of her, and then stuck her tongue out at Ron, then it's the whole note tore itself apart.
Now, in the books, I believe it just bursts into flames.
Oh, that's even better. I would have liked to see that.
Well, the comment I was going to make was the women in the Harry Potter movies, particularly Ron's mother and Professor McGonagall in particular. Those two remind me synonymously of my mother and my grandmother. May she rest in peace. Because they gave zero craps about what anybody thought. They said what the hell was on their mind, and if you didn't like it, well, you could, to quote Antonio Montana, stick your head in your ass and see if it fits. Anyway, but I loved Ron's mom. I loved they're awesome. Anyway.
Absolutely.
We were all just taking a moment and appreciating how awesome Ron's mom is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
She really was. I love her.
Well, we all wish we could have had a mom. And I'll say this, and I may be bragging a little bit. I have a mom that is as awesome as Mrs. Weasley. I do. I've got a kick-ass mom, and Madam Ambassador, she's like Jenny. She's got my back. No, wait a minute. You know what, Madam Ambassador, she's more like Hermione because she's brainy and she's cool, and despite what the actress has become, the character of Hermione Granger, She's just badass. Just 100% flat out badass. Period.
So, moving on to later parts in the movie where Ron and Harry confront Hagrid, and they basically only fit those two under the cloak because they're growing so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Hagrid's scared shitless, answering the door with a huge crossbow. It's like, hello, hello, and he's like, what's that for? Oh no, it's just it doesn't matter. Come on, and whatnot. Where you're seeing, and he's pouring tea, overpouring the tea, freaking out. He's like, we need to ask you something. Do you know who opened the chambers? What you need to understand about that is, and then crap happens again. Cornelius Fudge, with that god awful hairdo, comes in with Dumbledore, and it's like bad business. And he's like, you know, I wouldn't. And he's there to arrest him, and it's like, oh crap, what's going on now? And then who shows up? With a freaking twirly-do on his boat or on his freaking ponytail. He even has one of those long bows on his ponytail, making him look all dapper and shit. Lucius Malfoy, this is an order of suspension. We'll fear that you've lost your touch. And it's like, really? Really? And I just love that moment because Dumbledore still just kicks ass right there. He's like, I want to understood that help will always be or come to those at Hogwarts or come to Hogwarts to those who ask for it. And he looks straight at Harry and Ron.
Yep.
Like, how the fuck does he know that they're there? How does he know they're there?
Because he is Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore. That's why.
I have my theories, but I don't want to spoil it until the 7th and 8th movies. I always call them books. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Hey, they were books before they were movies.
But I think there's like a legit reason why he can actually see it.
Yeah. And
because he's there.
Admirable sentiments. And he's like, shall we? I mean, the way that freaking Malfoy just sneer or smarmy, and God, you just want to. I want to stick. Let me get my hat back on.
The want with you.
Hat. We don't need a stinking hat.
If I could heat this up really hot and just stick it in Malfoy's
Please,
Okay.
we're talking about a minor here.
Yeah, let's keep that in
I'm not talking
mind.
about I'm not talking about Draco. I'm talking about Lucius. Yeah, I'm talking. Oh wait, you're talking about Giovanna being in the chat?
No,
Oh,
Tom.
well,
I think they were referencing Draco.
Yeah, well, I was talking about Lucius. But anyway, so freaking Hagrid is like, if anybody was looking for some stuff, all they have to do is just follow the spiders. Yep, that'll lead him right. Also, Feed Fang, someone will have to feed Fang, by the way. And Fang just is like, what? Somebody said my name. And
can I just say I love Fang? Fang is so darn ugly. He's cute.
He's a boarhound. Yeah.
Actually, he's a Napoleonic Mastiff.
That's the breed of dog that they had for Fang, but in the books, he's a boarhound.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking about the actual real life.
Yeah. So then they go into the forest, and they find, in an extended scene, the car, and it has become feral.
Mm-hmm.
And then they follow the spiders all the way into the hovel of Aragog. And because
Wait.
Harry saw-
Could I ask a quick question? Because this car thing raises a question of morality here, right? Like, if you can animate things magically, right, to the point where they actually can learn and like become intelligent. I mean, because it obviously it insinuates that if it's not around humans, it becomes feral, right? So, I mean, where's the madness going to end with these magic users? I mean, like, do those cars feel? I mean, and if they feel, how do you put it down, you know?
Well, that's the thing. If you remember the howler that Ronald got about stealing the car, your father's now facing an inquiry at work. His father illegally modified and animated the car.
Oh my God, his dad is Frankenstein.
Basically, yeah. And so the car's basically gone feral, and then Aragog tells everybody the truth of what happened in the Chamber of Secrets. It wasn't me. It was something else, and there was a girl that was found in a bathroom, and Hagrid was expelled, and before I could do anything, I got out of there. And he's like, well, and all the time, Ron is like, Harry, 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 shush, 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 shush. And then when he's like, Harry, what? He just looks up, and then you just see a bunch of freaking spiders coming in. It's like, yeah, thank you. We're going to go.
Where do you go now?
Go?
I don't think so.
I'm not going to. I mean, you may be a friend of Hagrid's, but you're fresh meat for my kids. So, yeah. Kill them. But you also got to understand, or one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Harry learned the Arania Exume spell from Tom Riddle.
Really?
Because Tom Riddle used that spell in the flashback memory when he tried to kill Aragog when Aragog was smaller. So it's like, you know any spells? One, but it's not strong enough for all of them. So it's just kind of ironic that
Oh, that's cool.
Harry learned something from Voldemort. So then they get back, and it's like, follow the spiders. If Hagrid ever gets out of Azkaban, I'll kill him. And you just see the madness in Ron's eyes. I mean, I think he truly means it in that moment. But yeah, so Lockhart may be useless, but he's going to try getting in the chamber. So then they go to try to tell Lockhart some stuff, and Lockhart has a wig of all things. It's like, why do you have a wig? And he's just packing up, getting ready to go. And it's like, what about my sister? Yeah, terribly sorry about that, but you know, it's, oh my gosh. So they find it out that he's a fraud. He's like, yes. And so they realize that he's starting to stall, and so they're like, yeah. And they pull their wands on him. Don't even freaking think about it, boy. And so they lead him to the bathroom and ask Moaning Myrtle, the 40-year-old creepy ghost, how she died. And she explains it, and she remembers seeing those great big yellow eyes right over there by that sink. And then she goes moaning off. And so they open up the Chamber of Secrets, and they're like, you sure you don't want to go first? Push Gilderoy down. It's rather filthy down here. And then they take a nice little slide ride into the chamber. So what do you guys think so far of that all?
I hate spiders. Of course, I hate snakes more, but I hate spiders.
You know, if a spider is a certain size, I could deal with it in a certain area. Like in the woods, if they're coming at me in that size and I can stomp on them or hit it with something, I'm okay with it. If it's too tiny or too big, I'm gonna freak out. But I think I'd handle it pretty well.
I'd grab the nearest wand or flamethrower and be like, I'm leaving. Bye. Torch the mother.
That was
Fire.
one creepy,
Kill it with
creepy,
fire.
creepy scene. With how big Aragog was, and then all his little kids falling from the ceiling. Because I spiders, if I can see crawling around the floor, they freak me out. But spiders dropping down from the ceiling, that, oh my God, that really freaks me out. So
No, you're not, Lorena.
You know
You're
how
not
many
the only
times a
one.
spider has come down right in front of my face from the ceiling?
I have had that happen to me at work.
Approximately 85 times in my entire life.
That sounds horrifying.
85
Well, that
times.
you know of.
That just
Oh, it is very horrifying.
it's super.
Okay, so Soul Assassin brings up a very valid point.
Mhm.
Is it odd that the Slytherin house guy built a secret entrance in the ladies' restroom?
Okay, I thought I was the only one who thought about that.
There's a creature.
Well, you got to think about it. Salazar Slytherin was a twisted guy.
Well, Now, okay, there's something special about that bathroom, though. No, because, okay, I need help here. Because later we learn that Myrtle is connected to the prefect's bathroom. Is that through the plumbing system, or is it in the same part of the, like, castle? I'm just curious. Because maybe it's just, like, a hip real estate area as far as, like, secret rooms and stuff.
It was that bathroom that she died in. The prefects, or she likes to haunt the bathrooms. Period. That's just because she's connected to bathrooms because she died in the bathroom. But ghosts can go anywhere in Hogwarts.
So would it make you feel better or worse to consider if that's the only one with the secret room for whatever reason, or if there's one in every single children's bathroom? Because why not?
Yeah, you know, right? So they get in, and freaking Gilderoy's ready to just go full brutality on kids, wiping out memories of the famous Harry Potter and all that. And he grabs Ron's wand. I told you I'd be butchering that, all stream folks. And so he then backfires it, and he's like, "Hello, who are you?" Ron Weasley. Oh, right. And who am I? It's like, oh, Christ. Here we go. So Harry has to go on alone, you know, the lone hero sort of thing.
Mhm.
Now, what's going on?
You know, I like that they set that up, though. Like, as far as anything goes, as far as, like, putting, like, you know how you establish a gun in the beginning of a scene, and then you know you're going to have it used. The fact that Ron has been having issues with that wand all throughout the movie.
Yes.
And it gets to that point, and you kind of almost forget about it because it's so tense. And then when that happens, it's like a, oh, kind of moment, you know? So, I don't know. I really felt like that was one of the best, like, movie moments where it, like, something kind of comes around and it, like, it's like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. Now, what did you guys think of the Basilisk when he finally came out?
I thought it would look creepier than it did. I don't know. I don't know why I was really I was underwhelmed by how it looked. And
Yeah.
I can't even really understand why. Maybe if it's like eyes were glowing more, maybe if it seemed more lifelike instead of puppet like, I guess.
Yeah,
They
like
did
it was
use puppet effects for it.
it was like too afraid to go a little too far to either direction, I guess, on what it was, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. It just kind of looked like, I don't know, kind of looks like a caricature. I was just really underwhelmed when I saw that. Usually if you're going to bring out something big like that, it should, you know, I'm thinking like something like maybe in the order of like the Kraken or something when it comes out. And I'm kind of like, this is what we get. I, that part had to be the one part of the movie that really did disappoint me. Nah.
Honestly, and I understand what you're saying, Lorena. I do and everything, and there's validity to it. But honestly, I like the design of the basilisk. It wasn't overdone, which I think honestly, if you look at least, granted, this is only the second movie in the series, but if you look at the design of a lot of the creatures, they're not overblown, they're not overdone, but they are still either menacing or they are interesting to look at. So for me, the basilisk, I think it was right on point. So
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know how it was described in the book or anything, but you know, for me, it was a giant snake or a giant serpent or anything of some kind, and ugh.
Well, I would just, and I totally get where you're coming from. I would say, kind of like to me, for me, I like what they did with Fox. To me, he was very lifelike and moved that way. With the Basilisk, I didn't quite get the same amount of magic. So it's like it wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It was kind of there for me, but I get where you're coming from.
It didn't feel like I don't know. For me, it kind of felt like it didn't have as much of a threat almost, which is kind of crazy
Yeah.
if you think about it. But like in the first one, it was scarier for whatever reason. If you think like with just like Coral and Voldemort, and then you get like you even have Aragog earlier, and like that was really scary.
He
And I
was.
think the CGI really ruined that moment because like it's supposed to be from like Harry's point of view, and you should think as a kid whatever you're looking at would be terrifying, but I don't know. I guess it worked for what it was, but it could have been a lot more. I feel like if they went back and like redid CGI just
Mhm.
for that battle, right? Like
Mhm.
it could have a completely different effect. But
I I
yeah.
think maybe, and honestly, it may have actually come down to the special effects budget. Now that I think about it, it could have been
Yeah.
something as simple as that. It's like, okay, we spent all this money, like for example, like we spent all this money on Fox, Aragog's Hideaway. That was exquisitely done. So it may have just come to the point where they said, okay, the snake's only in it for this amount of time, or the basilisk. So maybe we don't spend as much money. I don't know. Sometimes those decisions do get made.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. When the basilisk first came out of the mouth of Slytherin's statue face thingy, very
Mhm.
gruesomely, by the way, and
Oh,
when Riddle gives him that order to attack and kill Harry, do you notice that the basilisk looks at Thomas or Tom Riddle and actually nods, gives a little nod
Yes.
like, yes, master, and
Yes, I
just
did
goes
Mhm.
to
notice
it?
that. Hmm.
yeah.
It's like, here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Snakes, all snakes, that is, in real life, are deaf. They don't hear,
But you
not the
don't
way that
know
we
that
do.
they're also really good lip readers.
Yeah, I guess that, yeah, okay. I'll give you that. I mean, yeah,
Orange, you're just overthinking this just a smidgen. It's called magic.
yeah.
It's called magic. They
You,
Yep.
have
I
a
gotta
magic
address the chat
spell.
for a second. I gotta
Yeah,
address the chat for a second.
yeah, I
Thomas
think
Connolly, um, if this is indeed you and not a copy
it's not. It's
account,
Thomas. I've been dealing with this weird shit for like 4 months now. He's on and off like borderline personality disorder behavior. I've blocked him on all platforms. The only way he can communicate is when he sends like a little bit of money, so he can send a note on PayPal. He's harassed
okay,
Slasher,
so
harassed with Meta.
it is the one that we know.
Yes.
Well, dude, if you're gonna keep doing or
Oh, he's
that shit,
gone.
man, I might
Both
have to
sides.
boot you from. Yeah, he muted him for 30 or for 300 seconds. So
Here we
yes,
go.
Thomas,
He
if
got
you
me.
do continue to pull your shit, I am going to boot you from my channel, dude. I don't want to do that because I don't have a problem with you mostly, but if you are going to keep pulling your shit, I am going to ban you from my channel.
Yeah,
Is
like
that
I
understood? And I want you to make sure that it is understood the second you get back in here. Because, dude, if you have a problem with one of my panelists, you take it up with them, not in my chat.
he goes to whatever
Because there's a time and place for everything, man.
He even started crap with Snow Dub because I was on his show.
Yeah. Well, that's for another time. So,
I know. I'm just letting you know
Then-
that his actual account. He's got 2 of them.
okay. So now, Fox also came in and gave Harry the sorting hat. And,
Mhm.
well, it turns out that hat is more than just talk out of its ass. So it also spits a sword, or it also craps out a sword too.
Mhm.
So Harry now has the sword of Gryffindor, and he starts taking some swings at the basilisk, and it's like, dude, that now objectively that is one shitty fight. I mean, even with the practical effects of the
Yeah.
basilisk, it's like that fight could have just been so much better. But getting the bite in the arm and stabbing it through the head, it's like, dude, Mortal Kombat meets Harry Potter. Yes.
That is.
But yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
It would be pretty sweet if they could like do all the Harry Potter spells, but like do it with like Mortal Kombat like battle lines instead. So like when you like pull someone close
Oh
like
my
at
God.
you go like get over here with your wand and then like drag them at you.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Accio spell is for, but that comes out later in the books and movies.
Yeah. Secretly a Mortal
But
Kombat Scorpion fan.
Yeah. So Harry then rips the sword out and also has a freaking thing stuck in his arm. Now, a 12-year-old with something stuck in his arm just yanks that sucker right out and doesn't scream. That's pretty freaking amazing
Well,
tolerance to
yeah.
pain there.
I would say the shock. Like a lot of people when they receive like really serious injuries, sometimes like they won't even like register it,
Good point.
or they'll register it in really weird ways. And honestly, as a kid, he might have just been registering different aspects of it. So I'm not totally surprised by that.
Actually, I agree with her. There have been documented cases a lot of times when someone who's suffered a lot of abuse, they're toughened up more to certain things and can handle things that someone who's been treated gently can't. And so that could, as she was indicating, play a part in it.
Yeah. So then Harry has an epiphany, and he just stabs that book like it was nobody's business. And he ends up killing Tom Riddle, who happens to be Voldemort, because he reveals Tom Marvolo Riddle is an anagram of I am Lord Voldemort. And so we then get to Ginny Weasley waking up, having a little slight romance with Harry. It's like, and Harry being the hero, you gotta get yourself out, buddy. I'm gonna die. Just save yourself. But then Fox comes in with the healing power of tears and carries everybody out of the chamber from God knows where. But it happens. And so we're in the office with Dumbledore. And he's just going off on Ron and Harry, and it's like, you do know that you both have broken maybe a dozen school rules, and there's sufficient evidence to have you both expelled. Therefore, it's only fitting that you both receive rewards of heroics or something. And it's like, wow, really? Yeah, really. It's like that. I mean, let's face it, folks. Dumbledore is biased. Those two are Gryffindors. Special rewards to the school for heroism.
Right.
But I absolutely love what happens next. He's like, now, Ron, send these release papers to Azkaban. I think we're going to need our gamekeeper back. And then he talks to Harry, and it's basically a very wise, brilliant performance by Richard Harris. And he's like, you must have shown me great loyalty down in that chamber, because nothing but that would have called Fox to you. And we learn in the Fantastic Beasts movie that the Phoenix is very loyal to the family of Dumbledore. So it does make sense in a way that the Phoenix would go to anybody who is very loyal to a Dumbledore. So it is pretty cool. It is a pretty cool little aspect. And he's like, and Harry's still wondering. He's like, but is Tom or Voldemort going to come back? Yada yada. He's like, well, You speak parcel tongue, Harry. Why is that? Because Lord Voldemort can speak parcel tongue. If I'm not mistaken, he transferred some of his powers to you the night he gave you that scar, which does kind of go a little bit of a contradiction to later on movies, and we'll get into that in those later streams. But he's like, it wasn't done intentionally, and then Harry's like, well, the Sorting Hat was right. I should have been in Slytherin. He's like, you're right. You do possess a lot of qualities that Slytherins do or possess, or a couple of things. And then he's like, and if I may say so, a certain disregard for the rules. But if you are truly wondering why you belong in Gryffindor, maybe you should take a careful or a closer look at this. And he reads on the sword, Godric Gryffindor. It takes a true Gryffindor to pull that out of the hat. And this is when we get the big reveal of who Dobby's master is.
Mm-hmm.
Because Malfoy comes in, and then you see Dobby just like right behind him, cowering. He's like, "This is your master," and it's like, "Oh God, Harry, do you not realize how much danger you just put Dobby in?" I'm pretty sure Malfoy would have killed him later. Possibly. I mean, it's possible. Malfoy is very malicious. And he's like, "So you have returned?" And he's like, "Well, when the governors found that Ginny Weasley's daughter was brought into the chamber, they saw fit to summon me back." Ridiculous. Strangely, Lucius, many of them were under the impression that you would curse their families if they didn't agree to suspend me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "How dare you?" And freaking Dumbledore's just like, "I beg your pardon." And this is just basically a battle of egos, but you know Dumbledore is going to win out because because we all know how wise and how knowing he is. He was basically, he's like, so when Malfoy's like, the culprit's been identified, oh yes. And who was it? Voldemort. Except this time he chose to act through another by means of this. And you see the look in Malfoy's eyes, the knowing look, and he's like, fuck, I'm caught. But he's like, while it is prudent that no more of Voldemort's old school things should find their ways back into innocent hands, the one responsible, the consequences would be severe. And so Malfoy does his best to deflect, and he's like, well, let us hope that Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day. And I just love that scene. He's like, don't worry.
Don't worry. I will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bust your blonde ass.
Great. Yeah. And so then Harry, he's like, sir, can I have that? Takes the diary, confronts Malfoy himself. It's like, mine. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, you realize you're in an empty corridor. You honestly think anybody's going to be around to listen? You could have easily admitted it. And so Harry tells him how he snuck the diary into Ginny Weasley's cauldron. He's like, why don't you prove it? And then he sneers and hands the book to Dobby, and Harry basically pulled a loophole on Dobby to help Dobby, and he has a sock. And he's like, Master's giving Dobby a sock.
I know. I felt so good.
You give me gloves, Dobby's free. And it's like, I just look now. If you really pay attention to what Malfoy was saying when he was about to curse Harry, he either was saying Avada, getting ready to do a kill curse, or he was saying Vara, which was the thing that turned him into an animal or something, because they did the spells in Transfiguration earlier in the movie, Varaverto, which turns an animal into a goblet. So it's like, what is he going to do to him? But before he can do it, Dobby just launches his ass all the way down the corridor. So what do you guys think of that scene?
I just thought it was sweet vindication for Dobby, because he'd been treated so horribly, and he was so invested in, even though not the right way, invested in protecting Harry Potter. The fact that he could finally fight back against Lucius Malfoy, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great payoff for his character.
Yep.
Honestly, yeah, that was honest. I think that was a great payoff, particularly for Dobby, because up until that point, he had been treated, as Lorena just said, he had been treated like crap the entire movie. Even though Harry, Harry wasn't trying to be willfully mean, he was just really frustrated and everything with Dobby because of everything Dobby had done. But, and can I just say, Dobby be packing the magic because he knocked Lucius on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Dobby brought the heat.
Like he did, because he knew he had some kick-ass strength, and if anything was to happen, he'd get his. So that's probably why he kept him under a strong thumb.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Because house elves have magic that wizards can't touch, and they can also do things that wizards can't. And we'll learn that later on in the later streams.
Yes.
Now, then comes the ending area, because we do got to wrap this up pretty soon. Then comes the ending where they're in the Great Hall, and Hagrid comes in, and he's like, sorry I'm late. The owl that delivered my papers got all lost and confused. Some ruddy bird named Errol. It's like, goddamn. It's like, why would you use your bird? Why wouldn't you go to the owlery and use one of the Hogwarts birds? But still. Oh, one of the things that we never did touch on, but we will now because I wanted to touch on it. Who liked the Mandrake scenes with Madame Pomfrey? Because she was also one that was introduced in this movie.
I did.
Or not Pomfrey, but Madame Sprout.
Madame Sprout. I did.
Sprout.
I did. I loved that. And one of the reasons that I loved that scene, besides hearing the Mandrake scream and everything, I mean, that was not what I expected her to pull out when she pulled it up and it comes up like screaming and everybody's like, oh my God, it's so loud. And then Draco being Draco tries to, put its finger in its mouth and it bit him. I thought that was cool.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Then he just slams it right in the pot. It's like, dude,
yes.
you fucking baby beater.
It was just something about just the magic, because I hadn't read the books, but that was just one of those just really cool, just magical scenes to me.
Yeah, it's fatal to anyone who hears it. And then you hear him screaming, and then you see freaking Longbottom just feet up and whatnot, and it's like, oh, Longbottom's been neglecting his earmuffs. No, ma'am, he just fainted. Oh well, just leave him there.
Just leave him there. So
Can I just say this? How many here would love to have a Mandrake and use it on somebody you don't like?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love it.
Who wouldn't? I mean, but then again, we are talking murder here because it's fatal.
Yeah.
But yes, one person, sure. Maybe a few. It'd take a lot of maneuvering to get them all in one area, though. But allegedly, folks. I'm covering my bases. Allegedly.
Just get a baby one.
So, Soul Assassin, could you start plugging channels in the chat, please?
Oh, he already
including Mads and Giovanna's, because Giovanna does also deserve a plug. She is a great channel.
Yes, she is. I'm trying to get Giovanna to come on a stream here in a few weeks. So
nice. Now we are going to start winding it down, and so before we do, I'm going to ask each panelist, how would you rate this movie out of 10? Starting with Lorena.
I did like it better than the first one, so I'll give it a 9. I really liked how they introduced Tom Riddle and then by the end we find out that Tom Riddle is Voldemort. Like, I didn't see that coming, so I like how they introduced him and the slow way that they built it up using his diary. So I would give it about a 9.
Alrighty. AFK.
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter. I love you guys.
How would you
know.
rate the movie?
Oh,
We're not plugging
well-
channels. How would you rate the movie?
Well, I don't know. I don't really like rating these movies because I'm really bad at rating. Like next movie, I'm gonna have some other arbitrary way to rate it, entirely different. But I guess for this one, I was saying that I like the first one more originally because it has more of an innocent feel to it, I guess. Like I like that kind of like kid in the candy store element. And this, but had like this one, having a retrospective look at it, kind of like I have a new appreciation for the fact that it's kind of like taking you into a back room of that store, giving you like more stuff to look at. So, I'd give it a 80, like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. All right. Ambassador.
I would say I would give this film an 8.5 or anything. Just for the simple fact that it does have some inconsistencies, and if I'm being really super nitpicky here, I mean like super nitpicky or anything, it does have some inconsistencies, and you had kind of a I don't know really how to put this into words. Gilderoy was a little bit of a distraction. And anything, at least in my terms. I understand they were being faithful to the book. I get that. But he seemed like a bit of an unnecessary semi-second villain. But but more of a bungler more than anything.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I would give it an 8.5.
Yeah.
In terms of the overall series, I would give it a solid 9. In terms of just the overall story arc, I would just on its own a 8.5, but on its own a 9.5. I meant to say 9.5 before. So.
And Moira.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but from what I can remember, I liked it. I liked it a little better than the first one. Like, I liked the first one in its own way. Like the humorous awkwardness of everyone getting to know each other. Like we discussed last time, how Hermione's like charmed. It's like, but this one I like the way it's kind of, the action started kind of slowly gearing up and everything, and so I think I'd rate it like an 8.5, like he had originally said, like 8.5.
Alrighty, that's a fair one. Now, I always do the 3 tiers: objective, subjective, and moviegoer. This one is indeed better. It is indeed much objectively better than the first one. There's not as much changes, but there are some problems. The practical effects of the basilisk did kind of make it a little weird, plus some digital effects like the car and other things. I did like the Whomping Willow, which we didn't tackle into. We will definitely touch into it tomorrow or not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from now, because it plays a bigger role in the third movie than it does in the second. So objectively, I believe I gave the first movie like a 7 out of 10. This movie was definitely an 8 out of 10 because it was greater effects. It had a better budget to handle things, and overall, they did a very good job. but no movie is perfect, so there was a bit of flaw in it. And that's fine, because a movie should have flaw every now and then. You can't find a perfect movie, it just doesn't exist. Subjectively, it exists, but subjectively, my score is a 5 out of 5, or 10 out of 10, however you rate. And moviegoer, it kept me engaged. It was brilliant to watch. I really liked it. I didn't fall asleep. So, yeah, 10 out of 10. Anyway, folks, we aren't going to do end of stream plugs because thank you, Soul Assassin, for plugging channels and Twitters for each.
Yes.
Because I actually do got to get going very
I'm so
soon.
bad at doing those. Thank God.
I do want to thank all of my panelists, Moira, Ambassador, AFK, and Lorena, for coming in. Thomas was here with us in spirit and earlier in the chat. Thank you to my lovely moderators, Assassin or Soul Assassin and Mongo, for taking care of the issues that were going on in the chat.
Mwah.
And thank you to everyone in the chat. I wish I could name you all, but y'all, or it seemed we had a lot numerous people this time. But Mads, Giovanna, Soul Assassin, Thomas Gilkey, Mongo, thank you guys for being in, and thank you guys for definitely tuning in. Oh my God, a versus idea, Soul. I'm not taking any until after New Year's. So
yes, no, Doug, you missed it. Yeah.
Dobby versus Gollum. Oh my gosh, that would be nuts.
Wow.
But yeah. Anyway, folks, we are going to start wrapping this up. Thank you all for tuning in. If you catch this on the replay, y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts and whatnot about the movie in the comment section below. And stay tuned in 2 weeks where we tackle year 3 of Hogwarts and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews and Panel. And always remember, stay humble, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. And this thing does not want to let me end the broadcast.
Good night.
Say your byes, everybody.
I've always been here.
Yeah. Alrighty. Take it easy, folks. And it's still not letting me end the damn broadcast.
So how is everybody doing today? How's the chat?
Doing great for Friday.
Y'all?
Oh my God.